Beyond the headlines. This is World Insight.
Hello, I'm Tian Wei, and welcome to the season of AI and Basic Sciences presented to you on World Insight this summer. Artificial intelligence is moving fast. China's latest large language model, Kimi K3, is making headlines. It's believed by many to be among the most powerful LLMs in the world, yet developed at a fraction of the cost and compute of its American counterpart. Beyond accessibility and affordability, the conversation in AI is increasingly turning to something bigger, AGI, artificial general intelligence, a hypothetical AI that can match or exceed human cognitive abilities across virtually any task, learning and adapting without needing task-specific programming. But not everyone believes the current path will get us there. Professor Song-chun Zhu, founding director of the Beijing Institute for General Artificial Intelligence, has spent 3 decades researching AI, first in the US and now in China. He firmly rejects the idea that scaling law, building ever bigger, more powerful language models, is the road to AGI. Instead, his team is taking a fundamentally different approach, a cognitive architecture embodied by a virtual child called Tongtong, who learns continuously through interactions with the world, rather than through static pre-training on data. When I sat down with Professor Zhu earlier this week, he was visibly excited to share Tongtong's latest development and his vision for what genuine artificial general intelligence might actually look like. You did not think scaling law is the ultimate theory for everything, and LLMs will not necessarily get us to the AGI, so to speak. Tell us why.
2022, when ChatGPT was popular, emerging to the public sphere, many people thought at that time that the large language model will lead to AGI. All you need is more computing power and more data and the bigger models. And at that time, I already stood up and speak against this view. Mm-hmm. It was very clear to me it's not, because I'm the one who studied statistical modeling and stochastic computing in the 1990s. Right. My PhD thesis, one chapter was about AIGC. To firstly was successfully modeled images and generating endless images. So we know what it is, and we know the limit of that methodology. So that's why I switched to the current track in around 2010. Of course, in the last 3-4 years, more and more people realized that, what I said was true. For me, from a researcher and academic researcher who studied this problem for over 30 years, I found, most of this, the marketing or statement just hypes. They want to raise fund, and then go IPO. That's a very strong force to drive people to do those things. I understand it because the stake is so high, right?
The other thing you really talked about over the years consistently is you do not believe in big data, small tasks, but rather the other way around, which is big tasks with small data.
Yes.
Now, some of the biggest frontier models these days are big data. Maybe they can do bigger tasks, but certainly not the small data you are talking about. What kind of small data do you think we might need? What is the scale of the so-called small?
Well, we didn't give an absolute term, say how many gigabytes of data will be need, right? That depends on how those data are experienced, are distributed in the space. For as long as for raising a child, you see how much data we have. It's not that many. If you open your eyes, I did a calculation, if you open your eyes 24 hours a day for 10, 20 years, right? The data you see is very limited. Let alone other data like smell, touch. Those are very low dimensional data. Intelligence coming from inside out, not outside in. So of course we need data and need experience, but mostly it's for us to understand the needs and why those data are generated. For example, all data are just recording the behavior of humans, right? Either it's speech, text, or images or actions, the robot actions, which collecting those data for all manipulation. So all those data is just recording the human behavior, right? And then at a data level, just try to memorize and statistically correlating those data. But if you understand why people do those things, say those words, right, then you have a much concise representation to tell. For example, I showed you, what is a chair. As long as I can sit comfortably, then it's a chair, right? Then that's how the chairs are designed for. And as long as I can understand the new need, and then I can explain away why you did certain things.
When you explain what exactly is the heart, you explain it in so many different ways. Causality, for example, physical reasoning, social common sense, goals, intentions, and the list goes on. Having said that, though, some scholars and those in the industry say, okay, well, professor, yes, what you said makes sense, but too complicated.
Too complicated, yeah.
Why don't we just go back to the LLMs and scaling law? That's so easy. Everybody understands.
Right.
We can just do it without even thinking about it too much anymore.
Right.
So this is too complicated, and probably the thing that I wrote down is not going to be sufficient enough. It's only the things that you are thinking about right now, right? So in that sense, there's no way to get to AGI.
No, that's
if the list goes on.
No, the list goes on, but the list is not infinite. Okay, so the basic structure in the COV framework.
Explain COV a little bit later.
It's pretty simple. It's not like you can endlessly. The phenomenon could be endless, but the principle is very simple. As long as you have the mind, I'll call it Xin, including what we will call the value systems, and also the cognitive architecture. Those are the basics. So in my formulation, it's pretty simple. It's not sounds like somebody, as you said, endless. People are impatient. They want to get something quick.
Yes.
Why not let me solve quickly?
Yeah,
but,
they want quick solutions.
They want quick solutions, but science, right? That's the interesting part of science. It is complex, but at the same time, as long as you get a principle, the first principle is simple, right? And it's like same thing like life science. The way how DNA forms, produce RNA and to proteins and how they function. But the general principle is pretty clear, right? Although there are some unknowns. But the complexity of the proteins, the complexity of the genes is vast, right? Because the variety of the space is there. They generating the complexity of life, all different type of species. So, but the principle is very simple. So, same thing I want to say is about intelligence. Also, physics. Physics people has a unified theory, hopefully, to explain all phenomena, including this sounding, storm, and lightning, earthquake, everything. So, similarly, I think intelligence is so many complex phenomena. So, intelligence are phenomena. What do you see as intelligence? Nobody define it. It's because it's a phenomenon. As you said, function, causality, this is cognition. But there are a common principle behind it. Then understanding that will derive all the other the behaviors.
You are raising up a beautiful child called Tongtong. I met her several times already with your introduction, and I see her getting ever more sophisticated. That is, as many know, it is a virtual personality that you try to make her exist in a virtual world to figure out how things would evolve and eventually could reach to what you consider as AGI. So where is the latest stage of Tongtong? What does that mean for the next stage of AGI research?
The human development from birth to adulthood takes around 20 years. The 20 years, basically, all neural systems developing all the time. It's evolving, rewinding, through the process you learn. And at different stages, you learn different things. And it's kind of interesting why it was so, by building Tongtong, I am forcing myself to go through that process. That's very different from you raising a kid. Because
you have two beautiful daughters.
The kids just develop the capabilities naturally, right? Just
That's not true. Maybe it's your wife who is trying to help over there.
The human input is only part of it, but the kids up to 5 years old, 6 years old, automatically getting some skills. I think maybe this is debatable, but I will believe 90% is nature, 10% is nurture.
What is nature then?
Nature
That's
means like genetically coded yourself.
Right.
Just develop by yourself. And it's like a flower just coming blossom all the way, just go running through his process.
So AGI is about finding that nature. What about that nature finding?
Exactly. So that's why I said that you need to find that architecture, right? Instead of feeding data, because you cannot train a pig no matter how many data you feed.
Right.
How good quality, the data is. So through that process, that includes many aspects, when we train Tongtong, for example, at a certain moment, she just goes through, say, 5, 6, right, through kindergarten,
right,
to learn ownership, right? Who owns this? And the ownership changes over time.
Right.
Somehow I buy it, then that might own it. I drink that cup, then that's my cup. So this changing, he has to understand that, and who owns those. So those things happens all the time. She got to understand, right? And the social skills and the social structure even. For example, with Tongtong now, as I said today, we get a sort of responsibility, and then the power, the rights. What rights she has, what responsibility she has, right? And she has to understand those. And then how to coordinate the negotiating. So it's a whole lot. And then another aspect we get into, we have a new criterion. That means you raise AGI agents, I raise. Different algorithms go. As you see different person living in the town, right, in the community. Ultimately, you want to know how much wealth you accumulate, right? Get rich, is successful. The reputation, the fame you have, right? How many people like you, has a high regard on you. And then the power, how many people listen to you.
Chat period, Chat GPT period, to now, Fable 5, agentics. Of course, a lot of things have changed. The nature these tools can offer, the kind of help can change dramatically. So I would love to hear your thoughts on how to take advantage of the latest tools for your research.
We develop our own agents as well, the workflow, and then deploy it in more than 20 application areas, like emergency rescue, quick mobilization of resources. For example, flooding and landsliding. In Chongqing, that happens this quite often. Traffic monitoring and traffic redirection. So more than 20 of this industry applications. So we are lucky in a way that the local government, they have a vast amount of applications, and then they have already digitized and then categorized them.
I see.
So they've done the groundwork, and then we go there, plug in the agency, the models, so that they can make the agency helpful, more helpful. And we currently also doing something with like assistant in a car, right? They are working on certain cars so that they can talk to you, and then they can open the AC window power.
I see.
Actually, the new machine, the new car I got it. I'm kind of disabled. It sounds like I don't know how to touch.
All you need to do is to sit in there.
Just they can sense you feel cold or feel hot, and then can automatically to respond. Many people are developing this now. Companies. We feel Tongtong is perfect fit for smart car and for smart household.
The other thing is your cooperation with some of the humanoid robot companies.
Yes.
So how does that interaction help Tongtong to the AGI?
So that's how Tongtong is basically the mind and soul of those robots. Those robots are mindless. They don't have a mind because they don't even have a vision.
Right.
They don't see the world, actually.
They can only see here, probably. That's
they're blindly operating.
I see.
Some of them, maybe the manipulating robots can see the desktop, tabletop objects. That's possible. But in general,
very limited.
They don't have a mind. They don't have vision, even. So, let alone some others. They just, programmed. So we think that Tongtong is really complementary to all those development. We have a better dynamic humanoid, embodiment We provide a brain for them. Many companies, robotic company is impossible. I think it's very hard for them to develop a brain. Some companies claim they can do it. They don't know what they're talking about, actually. So that's what I'm saying.
Right.
The brain is the most important part.
Right.
Once you have a strong brain, then you can, compensate the precision of a robot.
Right.
We have a strong brain and flexible so that our manipulation does not have to be very precise. So in fact, we are not very precise in control, but it was through just feedback and
that helps, of course.
Yeah, that's help. Yeah.
I saw the humanoid robots also trying to catch things in your lab or try to walk, and also a lot of interesting experiments over there. I want to ask you two more questions related to something not just about your research, but rather your interactions with others. For example, with your teacher, you and him developed the feedback loop and top-down mechanisms. These are terminology that I need to remember.
Yeah.
But how would those research actually still enabling you these days to find the right path?
Yes, very interesting. We'll talk about it. Last time you interviewed with David Mumford.
Yes.
He visited me, I think in 2020 or 23, right? 3 years ago. At that time, he was a little bit concerned that maybe the large language model was going to solve the problem. And then he knows that I'm not very keen on a large language model. He's a little worried that, maybe I'm kind of...
Got carried away.
Yes, overperformed by the language model, guys. I said, don't worry, I know. A week ago, actually, he sent me an article he wrote. He's still very sharp. And he cited many neuroscience, psychology results. And indeed, but he realized, large language model cannot solve the problem, and it's not AGI. So Song-chun, you're right. You're right. His dream and my dream is about AGI, of course. That's 30 years ago. I graduated my thesis 1996, exactly 30 years ago. We have a goal. Of course, I said, I want to realize this dream. I will going to work harder and faster, and then you need to work harder as well, so you can live a little longer. Give me time. Of course, when we realize AGI, right? I thought when we have Tongtong architecture finish it, I think we at least got a prototype. But of course, people don't believe it, right? You have to show them how to solve a whole lot of real-world problems, and that's how we have to move on.
You heard about IPOs just like tap water these days in the news. Yeah. And everybody is looking at that. So what does that mean? On the one hand, it's great news because finally, AI is the place where people place their cards. But on the other hand, what do you think this is likely to lead us to?
I think, first of all, this is a huge bubble in that claim of a large language model like OpenAI, right? Say they are AGI, Anthropic, and so on. Yeah. They are making hype, that's so sure. And the goal is raising fund and get an IPO. But clearly,
which is understandable. But what they said
huge distortion. I think somehow it's a lie, in my opinion. I said in the thing, it's not, and then you say it is. That's lying. So I think the bigger problem is that it distorted the whole community, right? Distorted the public's opinion.
Public's opinion, yeah.
Right, and that's the problem of a bubble. The reason they have the hype and then has a huge bubble burst is because most people don't understand it, right? And then
most people are followers.
And the people get answers, and then investors, don't want to miss the opportunity, miss the train, miss the boat, and they play that kind of anxiety on people, right? And those OpenAI or Silicon Valley people.
They're shaping about the future AI development only with the lens of so-called competition and even rivalry between China and the United States, or among several big names.
Yes.
And that is getting me very exhausted, by the way. But I want to hear your views on that.
So because they want to raise funds and making hypes, marketing, they do so by driving up the anxiety. That's the problem. Muddy in the water. Make the water muddy so that you don't see clearly. In Chinese, we have a word for that. 浑水摸鱼，就是把水搅混。
Stir up the muddy water and nobody has the clear vision and therefore they achieve their goal. Something like that.
Yeah. So that's like a problem. Of course, many people will pay price for it. Right?
So you don't believe there is a big rivalry, so to speak?
They make this rivalry so that they can get investment, right? They say, oh, China is doing this, we're behind, so you got to invest on this. Chinese say, okay, look, Elon Musk was doing this, and then you got to do. So they kind of leverage both sides. If it is a right approach, right problem, leveraging competition could be healthy. But if you leverage into the wrong game, so that means I heard this. There was an article a couple of years ago. Let's say OpenAI started a bad business model, stir up the competition, but only creating losers. Because they didn't make any money, and then the only guy who made some money is NVIDIA. Providing the ammunition, the hardware. Other companies are just losing money. So it's not a healthy race. And of course they say, okay, this is national security. Package it as a way of as national security. Same thing they hype about the risk, the existential risk of a human race, because they make such a big deal and the anxiety, and so that they can play big bet, right?
Right.
$100 million, $100 billion bet. So that's why they have to make it so to extreme.
But what about the apparent somewhat competition going on between China and the United States, and the policy seems to be driven in that direction?
Yeah, I think largely it's still the narrative and the marketing type stuff. I feel anxious about this thing at all.
As we know, alignment of values is an extremely important thing. But that has been talked about a lot, yet when it comes to actions, practices, very limited. So I want to ask you on this layer about, how do you understand Chinese culture and how is it coming into your research? But also at the same time, how much do we really understand the philosophy that you just mentioned?
So the value alignment, in 2021 or 22, we are the first publish a paper which get into the, headlines in Science magazine. The Science is about human robots value alignment. That is align the value system. Later, large language comes. They talk about value alignment. That's not the same thing as I was talking about. What I said about a value alignment, that is just the value functions or the fundamentals of making humans as humans. That has to be done, in carefully with experiments. So how many values make humans as human nature? Those things I still, try to find out through watching the behavior of Tongtong and see obviously certain things she's missing, and then you try to get it back to get it to them and then teach them somehow. You pick up a counter example and you realize the current system cannot solve it, it cannot go away, then you realize you got a problem, right? That's why I said, my system has to explain all the things that we can find, and then also be compatible with the currently existing theory, like logic, probabilistic decision. And those are all models. In the textbook of AI, there were so many models. It's not like we have a large language model, any other models are trash. They're not. They just play different roles. You need to put them into the big picture so that you can, if it's a unified theory, you should be able to explain all the other phenomena in the theory as a sub-case, right? That's another challenge to me, I realize.
And that is all the time we have for today. If you'd like to know more, search World Insight. Check out our YouTube channel. Follow us on X and Facebook. I'm Tian Wei. Thanks for being with me. Bye for now.
Dunhuang, situated along the ancient Silk Road, where fine arts and divine beliefs merged with the natural world. It's where the East and West interacted, and where the world's largest Buddhist art gallery still fascinates and amazes people today. A place where stories of life and death, love and hatred, passion and desire, faith and sacrifice have been generated and told for 2,000 years. Buckle up for our podcast, Why We Love Dunhuang, the one and only podcast that can take you to the fantasy world of Dunhuang and beyond through our audio tour. Listen and subscribe for free on major podcast platforms. Why we love Dunhuang? You will have your answers.
From the refreshing cup of tea that starts your morning to the paper that you write on, the roots of many familiar parts of modern life can be traced back to ancient ideas. Join us on Made in Ancient China and discover how ideas born millennia ago became some of the world's greatest treasures. Made in Ancient China brings you stories of human ambition, inspiration, and connection. Now available on all major podcast platforms.